If you're new here, we are the Vi family. I'm Jacob and my wife Keisha, and our 7 kids are building an off-grid sustainable homestead. And we hope that you will like and subscribe and join our videos and our adventures and all of our shenanigans. We don't know what we're doing. We're figuring it out as we go, and it's been a wild ride. Hey guys, this week on the homestead we are connecting and wiring up all of our off-grid solar system. So this is part 2 of our off-grid solar system videos. You can check out part 1 in the description below where we got all of our panels up. This week we are wiring all the panels, connecting the distribution box, wiring up the power center and all of the batteries, and getting it connected over here to our AC panel box that will power our camper and our water pump and washer and dryer and anything else that we need here on the homestead.
Oh, and yet again I fell off the tree.
All right. We're having chili. Hi guys, having chili by the fire on a very cold day. It's like 30 degrees out right now, and that's very, very cold for us. Hey guys, shh, guys. Zaya, you're about to poke your sister in the head.
Hey buddy, that's not okay.
All right, so we're working on setting up this combiner box. This combiner box is, whoa. This is the Midnight Solar MNPV6, and basically a combiner box is basically like a DC panel box. Our panels will be wired in series of 4, so it'll be 3 panels, and then that means it'll be 4 series. So those 4 will come in to the box. The 4 series will come into each of these DC breakers. The positive will come in to the breakers, which will be mounted here. And that will combine it into a single DC output, which will be the wire that we already buried under the ground, and that's running out of here. Basically, a combiner box just consolidates all those wires from the panels into a single output, sending it to the charge controller. So I'm gonna go ahead and set this up, get the DC breakers mounted. We also have a surge suppressor that will be mounted here, and then we'll go mount it outside underneath the solar panels and connect it all. Alright, so I got this connected. We've got the surge suppressor here and it's wired in. We got our negative bus bar here, ground here, positive here. We got our 20 amp DC breaker set, 4 of them for the 4 series coming in. And they will, I'll probably punch them out here, right there. So this will be our 4 inputs, and then I'll punch this out for the main output. So that's next. Alright, so we're out here underneath the solar panels and we have the combiner box set up on this post, and I've already run, I don't know what you call this, just the main lines, so positive, negative, and ground that are running through the conduit all the way to the solar shed. And so then what's left to do out here is to connect all the solar panels in those 4 series, and then we'll be set out here.
You know you're a homesteading baby when your toys of choice are tools and wood. Hi, sweet lady.
So it wasn't all that hard. It was pretty straightforward as long as you kind of have an idea of some basic electrical work. So it wasn't all that difficult. We just followed the instructions that came with the kit, and pretty straightforward. The hardest part honestly was just working with the 1 gauge copper wire, because it's so thick it was hard to maneuver inside that little tiny combiner box, but we got it all worked out. We're happy with it. So we're done out here, guys. Other than just cleaning this up, we're gonna lay gravel here so that we don't have to do any landscaping around the panels, and we don't want the grass growing up. The last thing to do then is to wire up the solar shed tomorrow and get the inverter and the solar charger and all that up and running, and then wire in our main panel box that will power the camper and anything else that we want to power, and then we're done. So I realized late last night, sitting around the fire, thinking through what we've done, I realized that the system, the racking system that we got for these panels depends on those iron
mounts.
Yeah, horizontal mounts in order to ground the whole system. So that we had one single grounding wire here, but then I realized because we use these wood horizontal posts, the other 3 series were not connected to this one in any way. And so I realized that that other side wasn't grounded. So that's what we're working on now, is just grounding this whole thing to that one grounding wire we've got running. All right, so we've got the main PV lines wired up. So this is coming from the solar panels. Got our battery cables connected. Then, so what we've got here are our AC outs. 2 hots and a neutral coming out, as well as our ground. And so then we will run these up and around over to our AC panel box over there. That is the plan. All right, guys, so good news is we've got pretty much everything wired up and ready to go. There's nothing else to do here. All this is hooked up except for once we get power coming in, then we will configure the battery monitors and remotes and all that and get all that set up. But it's pretty much all done except for our AC panel box. So the PV power from the solar panels is combined into a combiner box that's sent through positive and negative and ground, coming under the ground 200 feet, coming up into here, and then that goes through the charge controller. Batteries are connected, it inverts the power coming out, and then that feeds to the AC panel box. Here's my problem. We've never claimed to be how-to videos. Don't think of our videos as how-to, but more like how-did. We're not saying you should do it this way, but this is just the way we did it. Let me show you the problem with the 2 hot lines that are coming in to the panel box. This is a square D regular home panel box, distribution box with a 200 amp breaker here. So here's neutral coming in, and it fits, it goes into this bus just fine. So these 10 gauge wires do not fit. These lugs here don't go in far enough for this thin 10 gauge wire. So what I did was take this 1 gauge that we had extra and just kind of shove that in there to help give us a tight connection. Now, I don't know if that's a good idea. Do I lose voltage that way? Do I still get a full connection? So that's what we got right now. So we're claiming that anybody can do this stuff, right? Like if you can do the research, you can put in the practice and give yourself room to fail and to try things and to experiment, then do it, you know? But we're not saying like you gotta do it the way we're doing it. This is not a how-to video, this is a how-did video. Oh, and then I'm also working on the grounding out here. So we're just kind of hammering away at this little at a time. We're what, 5 feet into the ground now. We'll eventually get it down all the way down. So that's the grounding bar, and then I think that's it. And then I think we are up and running and we can commission our solar system. All right, we're trying to get this grounding rod in, and it's proven to be a task. I saw this hack online where you can use your drill, attach it to the top of the grounding rod, and it'll just like drill it down into the ground. I broke my drill. This might also be easier with the sledgehammer, but I lost my sledgehammer. I think one of the kids took it out to the forest somewhere. Good grief. Now I just need to connect it and we're grounded. Alright, so let me show you what we've done here. I replaced the other panel, which was way too big, with this smaller 125 amp panel. Now I have a main disconnect over here in the inverter, so I'm not worried about not having one here. But basically this ended up working out a lot better to get those lugs tightened down on these 10 amps. So basically I got 30 amps coming on each leg for a total of 60 amps. And to get it extra tight, I just ended up stripping more than I needed and then looped it and then put it down in that lug so that it got real snug, real tight. And so we've got our main lines. The ground is grounding the entire system, from the solar panels to the combiner box to all the batteries. The whole power center all comes through this grounding bus bar right here, which goes down 8 feet into the ground. So it's a total of 60 amps, which is going to be fine for us because we don't need a whole lot more than that. We don't use a microwave, we don't have a TV, and so we're just running the camper, the water pump, and a washer and dryer. And that's about it. And then when we build the cabin, we're just going to replace the camper with the cabin because we're not going to have AC or heat. We don't need a whole lot of power. All right, so the thing we're going to do is mount this 30 amp plug on the side of the shed that will power the camper. All right, so I've got 10 gauge. Neutral, hot, and ground coming out. I'm actually out of the green ground wire. And so I'm gonna mark this one. I've already stripped it, and I'll mark it with some tape or something to show that it is the ground, in fact. All right, so I'm gonna wire this up, mount it, and then we'll do the inside. We officially have our first AC load connected. So this is the camper, 30 amps, going out to the 30 amp plug outside the shed. All right, so there we go. That's our 30 amp plug. The camper will plug in right there. I wanted to set that up first so that we can really test, the solar power. So we are officially ready to test this thing, guys. We're here, I can't believe it. All right, so what I need to do is go back through all my steps, and then I have to check for PV polarity, which basically means if I got my positive and negative on the DC side, if I got those switched at all anywhere, then we're gonna have a fire on our hands. So I gotta take my multimeter and test to make sure I have positive readings, not negative readings. That means something switched. So I'm gonna check for PV polarity, double check all my terminals, tighten them down a second time, and then we're gonna be ready to fire this thing up. All right, guys. So the solar panels are on. I flipped the breakers, checked everything on the combiner box outside. We're getting positive voltage. So a voltage drop of 1.5, which is really great, which is why we had to do the 1 gauge wire so we wouldn't have a large voltage drop. Guys, it's happening. I gotta program my settings in both the charge controller and in the inverter and battery monitor. And so I'll kind of do this in steps and let's just see what happens, all right? So the first thing I'm gonna do is turn on this breaker. That's my PV MMPT output. This should fire up my Midnight Classic, and it did. And go to my charge settings, volts, and I'm charging at 58.8. Absorb time should be 58.8, and then my float time is 52.8. Done. Saved. All right. That should be it I have to do on the Midnight Classic. Guys, it's working. It's working. Okay. I don't know if you see this light here that shows that we got PV power coming in from the solar panels. All right. My next step is to turn on the inverter. Okay. That powers up the Magnum, and I'm going to turn on the inverter DC disconnect, turn on the PV array. CC number 1 PV array input. Here we go, there we go. BMK setup, battery monitor kit. No BMK set, oh okay, I gotta flip this on, and it should find the BMK. All right, so that's my battery monitor kit. The charge efficiency is set to auto, which is what I want. And then I'm gonna toggle this down to amp hour size, 410 amp hours, that is already set. And then my battery type is set to custom, correct? And absorb time is 3.5 hours. So I think we are ready, guys, to turn on this inverter and start inverting power. Here we go. All right, so we know that the inverter is powered on. And we know the charge controller is charging batteries. And the inverter is not yet inverting any power. It's searching because I have the AC output breaker on, but I don't have any loads set up yet. Well, I have the camper set up, right? So I just need to flip that breaker on. Okay, I'm gonna flip that breaker on, 30 amp breaker to the camper. Then this light should go solid, showing that it's inverting power to AC to our loads. So let's find out. All right, you're doing this with me. I'm a little nervous. Here we go. All right. You hear that? We're inverting. We're inverting solar power, guys. This is solar power coming here, charging these batteries. This is converting or inverting the battery power from DC to AC. It's coming out of this output, going to that breaker box, and sending power to the camper. I hope. Let's go find out if the camper's running. Is this really gonna work? I gotta say, I have my doubts. Guys. What? Look at that! It's working! Guys, I gotta say, I had my doubts. I doubted that it would actually work. We got power in the camper, and the battery was dead. So we got power in the camper. Listen, furnace is coming on, and that's coming from solar power. Unbelievable. What? Guys, you see that right there? Those panels are taking power from that sun, and they're sending it to that shed, and it's sending it to that camper. What? This is crazy! Guys, unbelievable! Look at that! That's crazy. I don't even know what to say. What I want to do now is I want to connect all these other breakers. Let's see, we're going to set up a generator, an outlet, and a light here in the shed. Oh, and the water. I'm going to connect the water pump to the breaker too, and then we'll have water without having to run a generator. So I went ahead and finished wiring up everything in the AC panel box. We've got the camper, we've got laundry, the water pump, and the shed. The laundry, I went ahead and ran the lines, but of course we don't have a washer and dryer yet. But we'll be doing an electric washer and then a gas dryer on that 20 amp. And then we've got the 240 to our water pump, and then this is to the shed. And we're up and running. Got an outlet here to charge batteries, and then a little light here to have some light here in the shed. This is a big day. We're commissioning our off-grid solar homestead. It's really happening. Wow. Guys, thank you for watching. You're a huge encouragement to us. So thank you. Like and subscribe. Follow our journey. Happy New Year. Be blessed. Go be a blessing to someone. We'll see you next time.